Hello and welcome everyone to episode 11 of A BetterMagic Podcast, brought to you by Team BetterMagic out of Indianapolis, Indiana. This is your host, Jared, and I'm here today with my buddy Nick on the line again.
Hello, everyone.
So we've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I think we've taken about a week off, and there hasn't been a ton going on in Magic, but as of today, as we're recording this, all sorts of new and exciting information has come out about the new Modern Masters 2015 set. So everybody's kind of up in arms about what's going to be reprinted in this awesome set of new cards for the modern format in Magic the Gathering, and all sort of, like I said, all sorts of awesome, really expensive cards are going to be reprinted. So there's a lot of really cool news finally that we have to bring to you guys about that set, and of course about Tempest Remastered, which is another awesome set that is for online release only, so only for Magic the Gathering Online. And so it's kind of the 1-2 punch of those coming out in this kind of beginning this first week of May. Otherwise, not a ton has really been going on. There's been some standard tournaments, but nothing super exciting. The meta hasn't really changed that much from the Pro Tour, I don't think. I've been drafting a bit, but not a ton, because I'm not finding this format completely interesting anymore, you know, after playing it for so long. And Nick, you know, you were bringing up the fact that there's such a gap between the release of products kind of for Wizards of the Coast, you know, this being now the beginning of the second quarter, or in the middle of the second quarter rather, and the fact that they just don't have a ton of products. So I think we're kind of feeling that, because there's a kind of a slump as far as, again, the only draft format you can play right now is Dragons of Tarkir for like 6 months. It's totally ridiculous. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking, like I said, about that Modern Masters, all the cool spoilers that are out right now, a little bit about Tempest Remastered and what you can do to make the most of that format online, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the results from the latest GPs, but I don't find any of that too terribly interesting. Again, kind of now that we're in this rut. But we will talk a little bit about a really cool Grand Prix coming up that is going to be held in this little town in the desert called Las Vegas. So that's going to be super interesting. But so I've been out of Magic for a little bit, for about a week and a half. I've just been super busy doing stuff. But what's new with you right now, man? Like what is interesting in the world of Magic for Nick Cassidy right now?
Well, it's funny you say that, how you worded that, but there really hasn't been anything that new in my life specifically. You know, I sent out a ton of PolkaTrade cards this past week, and I've been sort of just collecting. You know, I haven't, and it's interesting because I haven't had any problems up until this past Friday. I did run into an issue with PolkaTrade as far as person selling shipping cards to me.
Really?
And, yeah, so that's the first time, and you know, it was handled very well, and you know, we've both have solved the case, but I mean, it was sketchy for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, that platform's been, and we talk about it all the time, but I think it's worth, you know, every time we get a chance to talk about it, you know, letting the listeners know that that really is a good place to go and get the cards you need. And if you can get off of, you know, cards that are worth a little bit that you're not using, you know, I think it's a great outlet for you. But like I said, you really haven't had any issues with it to date, right? I mean, this is kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, there has been really no problems, and I request whoever sends me cards that if it's not near mint, that they at least message me and inform me first, so I can at least take a look at the pictures of it.
Yeah.
And if I think it's fine, you know, I will just say, hey, that's fine. But like literally, like anyone who hasn't sent me, who's messaged me saying, oh, I secretly just found out I don't have this card or something, you know, it's a simple, you know, cancel trade, and then I get the Puka points back onto my account, and he doesn't have to worry about, you know, getting a bad rep, because you can get disciplined for you know, sending cards like that that aren't of the quality, the condition that you say they are. So
what's kind of the standard procedure? I mean, like, what in that kind of anomaly that happened, because I firmly believe that PolkaTrade, there's not a lot of issues that happen in using that platform. But if something does happen, what's kind of standard procedure to get things cleaned up? And if you want to tell us a little bit about your specific situation, so maybe people have an example to go by.
So, I'm still on the finish the cube train right now.
Yeah.
And I was someone said they're gonna send me a foil Lotus Bloom,
Okay.
and that's fun because it's from Time Spiral, its original release. I'm really psyched about it, and this trader took especially a long time with sending the card.
Okay.
Which was step one, and I didn't actually know this, but if your card hasn't been shipped for 48 hours, you have to you need to open a case, is what it's called when there's a problem, and you need to bring it to attention of PolkaTrade, because 48 hours is the mandate that you can not ship something.
Okay.
And so I didn't do that for I think a week, which it's my first. I'm still fairly new to PolkaTrade, so I really didn't know, and so I put in I finally received the card about a week and a half later. So I received it on a Friday, and this trader sent me a pre-release promo, which if you look at the prices between the two, there's actually a significant difference.
Okay.
On Star City, I think pre-release promos were going for like $3.99, and the foil from Time Spiral are going for $9.99 sold out.
Whoa.
So
way
there's
different. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a definite difference, and I was not sure if this trader was just trying to scam me or
didn't know any
whatnot.
better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I went ahead and I opened a case with this person, stated in a professional manner that the card that I received was not the card that I was told I was going to be getting when I put in my one section. And, I've yet to deal with a scummy trader, but this one came out and said, hey, I messed up. And, this trader did the right thing. He gifted me 50 Puka points, which is essentially a stamp in an envelope. And he said, ship it back and I'll ship it back to you. Ship the new one back to you. So,
okay.
So it worked. I mean, it's pretty fairy tale ending, but, and so in that case, it ended well, but, there are other times where I'm sure I will run into in future times where it may not end as nicely. So hopefully it doesn't, but, you're bound to have an experience like that at least once.
Yeah, and again, I do truly believe what you went through, and it sounded, the way that it was resolved to truly be an anomaly. So I think the majority of people who are willing to take the time and the effort to put in their hours for a program like that really do care about what the heck they're doing and aren't going to scam you. And the people who do, I think, get weeded out of the system really quick. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's a good story. Like I'm really glad you're able to share that with the listeners even who might be kind of reticent to join something like PolkaTrade.
Yeah, I mean I just can't can't give enough praise. I don't know how long I've known about PolkaTrade versus how long I've actually been doing it, but it's like I wish I would have started at a much earlier time.
Oh yeah.
Because if I remember, I buy listed a lot of things. Back when I was still playing Standard, I buy listed those Standard cards. And, I just sort of think about what if I PolkaTraded those?
What would you have right now, yeah?
Yeah, I would have gotten, 45, 50% more value than I would have. So, I mean, it's just, it's opportunity. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And you learn from the losses and you learn from your wins, so.
Right, and, and to reiterate, you have to put the time in.
You do, yes. And I hear you mention that you have problems finding cards, and there is times where I just can't find cards. And you know what I literally have to do to stay on top?
Yeah.
I have to keep refreshing the trades tab.
Really?
Yeah, I refresh it about I keep it in a tab, and I keep it on its own monitor, and I literally just refresh the tab every couple minutes because
that's crazy. Wow.
I literally refreshed my tab, and I saw someone was requesting a Thunderbreak Regent, and I went to complete the trade, and someone had already confirmed it. So I mean,
Holy moly.
it's very, like I said, there are more people I mean, not as many people are requesting standard cards on PolkaTrade too.
Really?
Um, after the set has been released and whatnot. So there's a point like within the first week, maybe week and a half, where PolkaTrade on the standard when new sets come out are very high in demand. Like if you looked at the top trends for the last 30 days, I think Silumgar's Scorn is still number one.
I mean, it's played a ton, but it's just
Yeah.
not common too. I mean,
Yeah, it's just sort of funny because when you think of top 30 days, you still think fetch lands are
yeah.
still like
Oh, for sure, right.
But they I don't even think they break the top 5.
Wow, that's insane. That's just crazy. But it talks about also kind of the fluidity and efficiency of that platform, where
Mm-hmm.
like the thing that's going to be, if it's a standard card, right? The thing that is played the most in the most decks. I mean, you could almost kind of intuit a standard metagame just by looking at top traded standard cards on something like PolkaTrade. You
Yeah.
know, like that's crazy. Like to say like I can look at this platform where people are trading in the real time cards across the table to essentially complete decks for the standard metagame, and the only data you need, is looking at what's being traded on PolkaTrade, and you're like, well, heck, what I should be doing then to next level it is to build a standard deck that's going to beat, the cards that are the top, 5 most traded standard cards on PolkaTrade for any given week. I mean, I don't think you would be far off doing that. So.
I've yet to actually see this, and I would love to see it happen, but someone just go on PolkaTrade and trade away all their tokens, like
Yeah.
50, 60, maybe even hundreds of tokens, and just completely screw up the trade trends.
Ugh. Yeah. Just.
I've yet to see something like that. But
I mean, it is automatic. You could. I mean.
It is. Yeah.
That's so silly. Okay, well, anyways, enough. It sounds like a commercial for PolkaTrade, but no, they're great. We love those guys, and I'm glad you're having such a good experience. Okay, dude. So let's talk about. Actually, you want to crack a pack first? Like look. Let's have a heart to heart here. I am burned out on Dragons of Tarkir, man. I've done in total real life moto at least 45 or more drafts, at least, right? And my win percentage is probably about 50%, like pretty mediocre. Like not great, not bad. I think there's a ton of true variance built into this format, and it's okay. Like it's not bad. I will tell you though, and I think I've told this to you a few times, I feel vindicated now because all the things that I figured out in the format, and I'm going to stand here on my soapbox and say I figured this stuff out in like a week and a half, right? That I knew something like red-green was a really efficient, good deck, and no one was drafting it. I drafted it a ton and started winning, and I was like, this deck is awesome, and then 3 months later, all the pros are like, oh, by the way, green-red is an awesome deck. We didn't like it at first, but it's actually awesome. I'm like, are you serious? And then blue-black, everyone was like, oh, blue-black, best deck, easiest to build. This must be amazing. When I first saw it, I was like, it's good if you get all the pieces for it, but it's terrible if you don't,
It's too grindy.
It's too grindy. And then 3 months down the road, the pros are like, oh, well, the deck's the strongest, but you have to have all these pieces to build it. And I'm like, I said that 3 months ago. Oh, it's nice to be vindicated, but man, it was just like, why did I have to fight to be right on this one, And I've just felt that way throughout the entire format. I mean, just it's ridiculous. And black and red are I think clearly the strongest colors throughout the format. But no.
And it makes me sad because I was on black red from day one, and now everyone's drafting it now.
I know, and it's been fine. Like I'm with you 100%, man. Like that deck has always just been fine, and I don't know. And people just had these preconceived notions that I think were wrong, and we're making my entire draft experience really weird because I'm trying to draft decent decks. And anyways, enough on that soapbox. But I have felt vindicated these past couple weeks just for the people that I respect finally coming around to the position that I've held the stance that I've held on the format for a long time. So I just wanted to say that. But anyways, in that spirit, let's open this booster pack and do a crack pack. You ready?
Which booster pack are you opening?
A Dragons of Tarkir booster pack. What else
didn't
am I going to
mention
open?
you could open Fate.
I could open. No, I could not open a Fate Reforged.
You did not. You didn't say it, so I figured I'd have to ask.
We are. Oh, this is pack one. Pick one in a Dragons of Tarkir Fate Reforged booster draft. Oh, okay. Let me get that. Let me smell these. Nothing quite like a fresh booster pack. So so going into this, my assumption is that you people probably know what the heck these cards are. So I'm not going to read them that much unless Nick, you have a question about them. But I'm not going to read everything on the card if it's not important. Okay, so we got a Scream Reach Brawler. You know what that guy is?
I think so, yeah.
It's a 2/3 dash guy for 2 colors and a red, but you can dash him for colors and a red.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty mediocre, pretty filler. Not something I'd want to first pick for sure, right?
No, definitely not.
Resupply, no thank you.
Nah.
Grave Purge, I've only ever seen played like once, but no thank you. That's easily a 23rd card, not a first pick. Gurmag Drowner. I played with that card like 2 or 3 times, and he's okay. Like as a 2/4 in this format, he's not terrible, but it's not something I want to first pick. Conifer Strider has I think become a deck into himself. You know, was just kind of this unassuming 5/1 for 4 with hexproof, and now people kind of build decks around it. It's okay. Like it's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to first pick it though.
Yeah.
We got a Glint. No, thank you. It's not even a good combat trick that doesn't even help you trade. Pacifism. Here we go. So that's exciting. So pacifism is definitely the pick right now. Although, you know, to be honest, one of the worst formats ever for pacifism. Because there's so many ways to blow up your guys and to exploit your guys.
Exactly. Exploit.
There's decent activated abilities and stuff. Like pacifism isn't great, but it's good. So a Tarka Ifrit. Okay, not bad. I like that guy. I like dealing 7 to my opponent when they don't at least expect it. It's a haymaker. Probably not a first pick though. Guardian Shield Bearer, pretty ho-hum 2/1 for 2. You can Megamorph him up, becomes a 3/2 and gives another counter, but it's not that good. Flatten. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a Flatten. So Flatten over pacifism. What do you think?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, I think black's just a lot deeper in this format, and I think white is one of the, if not the weakest color. So I think that's right. Silumgar Scorn in this pack, not bad. Not necessarily a card you can even play in a limited deck, unless you have the cards to back it up. But a good constructed card. So we're gonna pull that one to the side. Silk Wrap.
Okay.
Again, kind of the same issue though, right? Between so Silk Wrap is 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less an opponent controls until Silk Wrap leaves the battlefield. So, almost not even as good as pacifism, kind of, unless you're trying to get around activated abilities. But you know, even in that case, we said that we wanted to flatten over pacifism. So, Dromica Monument, no thank you. You know, that's.
I've yet to play a monument. Like, I just don't. I don't see any of them.
In blue-black, I'll play it. It's the only one I'll play. I think all the other ones are just pretty ho-hum, and green-white's not a deck I want to be in if I don't have to be. Oh, and our rare, we got a mythic. It's Risen Executioner.
That's a black mythic.
That's he is a 4/3/4/4. Other zombies, because there's so many of those. Other zombie creatures we control get +1/+1, and I can cast. I can cast this guy from our graveyard if I pay 1 more to cast it for each other creature card in our graveyard.
I don't know.
That is really interesting. So do you take... So I think the things we have to choose from here are basically 3 pieces of removal and a Risen Executioner. So we have Silk Wrap, Pacifism, Flatten, and Risen Executioner. That's a tough pick.
I'm gonna feel horrible for saying this, but I think I gotta take the Flatten over the Risen Executioner.
I think so too. Like, how weird is that though? Like, if you take Flatten, right, and you pass Risen Executioner, someone who might be less experienced or not understand what's going on in the pack might just take the Risen Executioner, but that's okay, right? Because you're passing them the black in 2 packs now. right? Which, I mean, you're passing to them in 2-pack, so you get to take all the black, like if you stick with Flatten as a pick. Whereas if they take Resident Executioner, they're essentially wasting that pick.
Like, what I've learned from all the dragons drafting is that you don't need, these bomb mythics or these
Yeah.
bomb rares to win the game.
Yep.
Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've passed a card, like a rare or a mythic in my colors that I end up drafting because it's just, I don't think it's better than like a piece removal or, like a foul tongue invocation,
Yeah.
it is just,
No, I agree with you 100%. I think this format is so swingy. I mean, there's a bunch of trading that happens in the early game, and then to win and to close out the game, you just need to resolve a creature that can attack profitably before your opponent does. And the way to make that happen for you and to not happen for your opponent is to just have a better suite of removal than your opponent. I mean, that's just how it is. So, with that in mind and knowing this format well enough to know that that's where you want to be, then I think Flatten is, kind of an easy pick over Risen Executioner. I mean, I truly believe that. So interesting pack. We'd love you guys to tell us, in the comments, or if you see this on Facebook or wherever you found this video, let us know what you would have picked there. But I agree with you, man. I think Flatten over Risen Executioner for sure. And then we're leaving. The other interesting thing to note is we're leaving those 2 pieces of white removal are going to our left, right? Mm-hmm. So if we want to if for whatever reason we found some more white stuff coming in the next pack, we might just not want to take it, because that means in the second Dragons pack, when that person to our left is feeding us going to their right, we're not going to have any good white stuff, because what we're sending them is actually probably just putting them into white downstream to the left. So
it's interesting how, a pack like that, you think about it that, in depth, you essentially know what you're putting your neighbors in, and a lot of people really don't understand it, but it it makes me happy when someone's like, I bet you're going these 2 colors, and they are both wrong. Both colors are wrong.
Isn't that silly? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're any good, I mean, if you want to really next level your limited experience, you really need to like there's a lot of time where you can open a pack and you're like, okay, this is the pick, I know that for sure. So when you have those extra 30 seconds before, if you're at a higher level table where a judge says, we're going to pass in 30 seconds, take that pick, put it first, right? So you know where it is, so you don't have to worry about it, right? But then take the extra 29 seconds and look at the rest of the pack. Like, look at every single card. Make yourself an order of where those are going to be picked going down the table. Just do it. This is the next level for your limited experience. And then know that as things are coming back around the table to you, what you're going to let those people to your left have, and what you're not going to be getting coming back when it comes back to your right. And again, you're 100% right. I think that pack was a really good explanation of that, because people to your left are going to be in white. So we do not want to draft white as it comes to us. Like, unless someone gives us an Ojutai's, exemplars or whatever for whatever reason, maybe. But even then, we're not going to get a shred of white coming back in the second pack. That's just how it is. But.
Mm-hmm. And I don't feel bad passing a Risen Executioner. Like, the removal that we just played just gets rid of it.
Just beats it. Yeah, and if they want to play it again, it costs it. They're wasting turns to do that. So I'm fine with that.
And it can't block, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So who cares?
You can walk it into Typhoid Rats and it just dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That I'm with you 100%. That was a good pack. I'm glad we did that. Okay. So let's talk about what the heck is going on Magic Online right now. So for those of you who have not heard or who don't play Magic the Gathering online right now, but would be interested, an entire new draft format has actually just been developed exclusively for Magic Online called Tempest Remastered. So what Tempest Remastered is, it's kind of this flashback look back at the entire Tempest block, which was Tempest, Stronghold, and Exodus. Those were the 3 three sets within the Tempest block. Each of them were designed at the time to be drafted basically individually. You could draft some of them together, and it was okay. But what Wizards have gone back and done now is they've said, hey, we're way better at developing limited formats now. We know people love this set when it was first drafted because it was one of the first sets designed to be drafted. I mean, that's just how it was. Like limited did not exist in 1997 the way that it does now. And so the set was okay, but there were some like commons, for instance, that were way more powerful than the rares, like for no reason. Just because they hadn't really done their homework as far as how to develop limited sets. So what they've done now is they've had some of the really high level, really smart developer guys go back and kind of cherry pick the best cards from those three sets from the entire block and develop a 269 card format that includes all cards from all three of those sets. And it is very much designed to be drafted as kind of a three booster set or a three booster set and experience, which is really, really, really cool. Again, some of the best limited minds in the game. Ian Duke was the lead developer, and he's Reed Duke's brother, and totally brilliant. Has been playing forever. I know he had a ton of experience going into it. And they've done a lot of really smart things, like shifting cards around that were at common and way too powerful, like Pacifism is a good example. Rolling Thunder is a good example. It was a common that would end games. And what that would result in is having those really, 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 really powerful cards at common would result in a lot of the games ending kind of in the exact same way. And that leads to not very exciting games, and it leads to people not wanting to play those limited formats because they get super bored, and it's like, oh, well, the guy resolved a Rolling Thunder, just like he did the last 50 times I've played this format, and people just don't want to have that kind of experience. And Wizards is in the business of making money. So the way to make money is to keep having people come back over and over and over again. So anyways, that's going to be released on May the 6th. So we're recording on the 4th right now. So in 2 days, after they kind of roll out the new patches for Magic Online, the set will be out. And I believe it costs the same. I don't think the packs actually cost different than normal. They're not like Vintage Masters or Modern Masters packs. So I think it's just like $3.99 per pack, and then a $2 entry. And you get to draft this totally redesigned or truly remastered set, which is I'm super excited about. I've drafted Tempest a lot, actually. The old Tempest block, I had a lot of fun drafting. I always found it to be really interesting and to be a very aggressive format, but it looks like they've really kind of slowed things down and really evened out the color pairs. I remember green, for instance, was not a very powerful, like you wanted to not be in green at all because the rares in particular were terrible, and it looks like they've downshifted a lot of the rares to uncommon and some of them to common even, just because that's what needed to happen to balance the power levels and to get a little bit of that redundancy in. So I'm really, really happy about that. It looks to be super, super duper interesting. What have you heard about it, Nick?
Well, when you're doing a remaster such as what they're doing right now, it's tough when you're doing this because you cannot make new cards. If you're looking at it and there's, for example, you said green was very weak, and you can't just go in there and say, there's this great 4-drop that just fits perfectly into the slot and can really, balance this out. You can't do that because you only have a set, you only have a couple options to go with. So specifically in the guest podcast with LR, he mentions that, where when a color is lacking in such like a creature base, they will say, let's put in we'll put in an extra piece of green removal or something like that. Try and balance it out. If you can't get a creature, get a a little bit higher valued spell out of it.
Sure.
And
you're talking about Ian Duke said all these things, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's it's brilliant how they can do things like this, and a lot of people wondered why Wasteland was not in Vintage Masters. Well,
Yeah,
this was why. It was because
that's a really good point
Tempest,
too.
you know, I don't know how long they've been working on Tempest Remastered, like 6 or 8 months.
No, 2 years. I mean, they give every set 2 years. So.
They get even even the remastered.
Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah.
So I mean, it's been it's been a long time, and hopefully it turns out well. Um, I'm a drafter. I wasn't around for Tempest. So I know one of the cute, I know the cute rolling earthquake,
Rolling Thunder.
rolling thunder, and capsize with another one that was just super
Yeah.
OP and Tempest.
And those were
So
both at common. So I mean, this is a set that I mean to draft was just so spiky. I mean, so there's such a high power level on so many cards. It will be really interesting to see how they've kind of toned down the power, or at least balanced it across the board. I mean, that doesn't mean that Rolling Thunder isn't still amazing, because it is amazing. I mean, you do get to just zap any number of players or creatures you want, essentially just by dumping as much mana as you can into a spell. I mean, the card is still ridiculous. So, I mean, there's the other thing to note is there's still Overrun in green at uncommon, and Overrun just ends games. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's why they don't print Overrun in sets anymore, or in there's no longer going to be core sets. But for the time that we've had, the last 5 or 6 years where we've had core sets, they have intentionally not put Overrun in just because I mean it's kind of unfun. So knowing that it's in this set as an uncommon, I really want to play it a couple times and see where they've shifted the power levels around. But it looks like they've done a good job, and they're slivers too. I mean, this is basically where slivers began, and it looks like maybe you could put a deck together, but there aren't that many really good, powerful ones. But the other thing to note about this set is it is digital only, so there is no sort of redemption. Like you can't get these cards in physical form, by collecting it. But that being said, there's still cards that are very, very powerful and very expensive on Magic Online. Like, Wasteland was up to 75 tickets forever and ever and ever and ever, and now it's going to be reprinted again here. Here coming up on the 6th, and I'm sure at this being normal MSRP, a lot of people are going to play it, so a lot more Wastelands are going to be opened up, which means there's going to be a lot more of them on the market for those of you who want to build something like a legacy deck on MTGO, which is never going to change. It's a decent place, I think, to invest your money if you like legacy, because there's always tournaments going on, and you can play 24/7, day or night. And again, Wasteland being more affordable is really going to help those formats grow. It'll be interesting to see, though. I mean, I think Sliver Queen is a card that's going to be reprinted again, which is a casual favorite, but casual play doesn't really exist on Magic the Gathering Online. So I'm going to be interested to see how the prices of some of those cards are affected. But I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. Like Volrath's Stronghold is another one that is kind of a casual favorite, but that just doesn't really apply to Magic Online. So I have no idea what the heck's going to go on with a lot of these prices. I just know I'm going to be having a lot of fun playing it, and that's all I care about. And if I open up cards that are worth money, more power to me. Like I will instantly get rid of them while I can. So
should bring back a few good memories of back when you were drafting it originally.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the whole plan, dude. I mean, it looks like they kept a lot of the cool archetypes in. Like I know, like Shadow, it looks like is still in the format, which is they essentially when they originally developed Tempest or designed to develop Tempest, they knew that there were a lot of these huge flashy cards that did a lot of like super crazy things, but for like a lot of mana. Right, so like if you get to that stage in the game, you resolve these big crazy cards, you're like very much favored to win the game. So to balance that out, they put in a lot of smaller creatures that have different forms of evasion to kind of end the game before your opponent can cast their big ridiculous spells. And that was kind of how they quote unquote balanced it. But it ended up just not being that balanced when your opponent is attacking you with like 52 ones that are like that just cannot be blocked. Like, that just doesn't lead to very interesting gameplay. So, But it looks like they bounce a bit of that out, which I'm happy with. Um, Man, I mean, there's all sorts of cool stuff that's getting reprinted. I mean, like Intuition, for instance, Forbid at Rare,
Hmm.
which used to be
Yeah.
an uncommon, I think. I mean, just crazy stuff. Good old Killer Whale. Like, I mean, really, 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 really good stuff. But I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm at Time Warp, um, Tradewind Rider, which was one of the best like commons ever printed. I mean, look, this card is freaking a 1/4 flyer for 4 mana. Not great, right? But if you tap it and you tap 2 untapped creatures you control, you don't have to like mess with them. Like you don't have to return them to your hand or anything, right? But you
Hmm.
tap Tradewind Rider and 2 untapped creatures you control, you turn target permanent to its owner's hand. Yes, that means like a land, like anything, right? So let's say they're off land, you just punish them by just tapping your most worthless stuff at the end of their turn, and ugh, man, it was just format's so degenerate. But it looks like they've added a lot of that really cool stuff in, but kind of balanced it all out. So um, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be looking forward to. It's going to be available for what, 3 weeks?
Oh, hopefully longer than that. I honestly don't know. I
May
literally
6th
have
to
no
the,
clue.
I think it's 3 weeks.
Okay.
So basically the entire month of May.
Sweet. Oh, that's gonna be. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Wow, that's gonna be so exciting though. Yeah, I'm gonna be jamming this like nobody's business. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Okay, so anyways, enough of that, man. Like that's gonna be the bomb. Okay, so the next big, super exciting thing for us to talk about, of course, is the release of Modern Masters 2015, and I'm super stoked, man.
I'm very excited and sad because we won't be going to Vegas.
I know it's so expensive though, and we've already done like 2 tournaments in the last, not that long period of time. So
Yeah. But it's definitely it's one of those bucket list things you just sort of have to do at one point in time, especially with this becoming a bi-yearly thing.
yeah, and that's the hope, right? I mean, you and I have talked about this a couple times. I mean, the hope is that once every year and a half they do a set like this, because it's such a big splash, and um, it's super interesting, and it really helps grow. I think the this format that um, basically has all these staples that don't rotate out. So as more people try to enter the game, the cards get more and more expensive, and it's more difficult to bring people into the game, and that's not good for Magic in general. So if they keep on this plan of bringing these sets out, then at least the game we love will grow, which is all I care about. But so the big kind of marquee release event, you hit on it there briefly, is uh, the Grand Prix in Las Vegas. I don't know the exact date, so
May 28th through the 31st.
got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a
So
4-day event.
that'll be, so we're recording here on the 4th. So in 24 days will be this kind of marquee release event for this kind of premium set. So what it is we told you a million times, Modern Masters 2015 is a reprinting of cards as a set, all the way from all the cards that are legal in Modern, but only up till New Phyrexia. So anything after that is not on the list for a reprint. But as things look right now, Grand Prix Vegas is looking to be the largest Magic the Gathering event ever of all time. Like it already is. Like they've already got enough pre-registrations that they've already broken that record. But their goal is to get up to the highest level capacity they can. They have a maximum player capacity of 10,000, which is just ridiculous. But I think they're already over 7,500, which is really crazy. Um,
From
just
what
to,
I'm being told, that they're actually going to try and bring Guinness and
yeah,
actually for the world record for the largest gaming event ever.
why not? That's just
Yeah.
insane. And this is the perfect chance for them to do it. I mean, the super premium set, that's expensive to play, that's supposed to be super awesome. Um, it just looks so, so sweet. And everyone's so excited about it. It's going to be such a great thing for the game and for the community.
Why does Las Vegas get all these nice things? You know, you had the big
Yeah.
fight in a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
nights ago, and now you're getting, you know, this big event. You know, just why does Las Vegas get all the nice things? Why can't, you know, great old sunny Indianapolis? Why
I know.
can't
Why
we
can't we
have
do
that?
Indy? Because I don't know, man. The weather's always
Hit and miss.
deserty. You know what I mean? And there, it's not. They have so much accommodation. There's so many hotels per square mile. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the easiest place to hold these kind of events. And Channel Fireball is a great host for these kind of events. They do a really really good job. So, you know, again, I'm happy that something like this is happening. I'm happy that Modern Masters, you know, 2015 is something that Modern Masters in general is something they want to keep doing. Um, it looks to be an awesome format. Like, it looks to be so sweet. Uh,
I'm
we've
look-
got um, we've got a few preview cards if you want to talk through those, and a little bit of kind of contention if you want to talk about that too.
well, how far do you actually want to go back? Because I know the command cycle was recently quote spoiled.
Right. So we've got, you know, kind of a list of the official Wizards of the Coast spoilers. Today is the first day of their actual preview week. So we have some of the actual official ones out for to talk about so far. So if we go through, let's go really quick to just like the card gallery and what's officially spoiled. So on the website right now, what we know about is um, supposedly the Eldrazi Titans. The only one that's officially spoiled right now is Emrakul, which is the big nasty Cthulhu mountain, you know, flyer thing. We've known about her for a while. You know, there's Karn Liberated at Mythic, which is a fantastic, super powerful planeswalker. Vendilion Click was spoiled by Channel Fireball about a week ago.
With the stick playmat.
Yeah, with a super sweet playmat for Grand Prix Vegas. That thing just looks so beautiful. And it's new art for V-Click. Cards, you know, $60 staple. If this set is as popular as everyone thinks it'll be, that'll push its price down a little bit.
A little bit further, yeah.
But not a ton. I still don't think it's
No.
going to be as much as people were thinking. But
I think if it drops below 50, I'd be shocked.
that would be insane. No, I'm with you 100%. Let's see. We're looking at Splinter Twin, which is something people need for that for the actual Splinter Twin deck. That's at rare. Good old Tarmogoyf, of course, is back because they always want to do what they can to bring the price down on that guy from, you know, $170.
He's a fighter.
Yeah, this card.
He just doesn't want to go down in
Yeah.
price.
The card's so good. I mean, nobody
know.
wants to. Everybody wants it in their deck. I mean, the card's just bonkers. So even another printing, I don't even know how much it'll shift the price unless they truly print it into oblivion, which they're just not going to do because that would make so many people unhappy that it's not worth breaking their game. Of course, Etched Champion was one of the first cards we knew about, and that's at rare. And Spellskite is another rare that's in the format, which, you know, the price of Spellkite will probably plummet significantly, but
Yeah, because it was 27. I think that's as high as it went up to
Yep.
recently, and it's probably gone down to like a $10, $15 card because of this.
easily, yeah. And I think that's is how it should be and how it's probably gonna stay. Edge Champion lets us know again that Metalcraft is for sure in the limited format, which is cool. Which means there's going to be a Metalcraft deck, which means you just draft as many artifacts and probably like ramp stuff as you can, and your deck's going to be absolutely fine. Another big card that's coming back that's like $60 right now, but is going to just be at rare, is Noble Hierarch, which is kind of the crux of all of the green-based decks and the infect decks and all that stuff in the modern format. So that's one to be looking out for. Probably there's no way it'll hold a $60 price tag after being printed this way, which is, I think, a good thing. Another one that's kind of on a similar path is Daybreak Coronet, which is kind of the backbone of the Boggles Evasion Hexproof deck, which shot up from being like a dollar bin card overnight to being like a $25 card. But that'll bring this back down to a reasonable price. Just something to keep in mind. So, but no, I'm super stoked. I think the limited format is going to be extremely well developed. It's Eric Lauer was not only the lead designer but also had a good hand in the development, and you know, he's super smart, you know, brainiac kind of dude, and he makes really good limited formats. So I cannot. I mean, it kind of sucks. The only thing I'm weird about is the packs being, $10 instead of $8 because the extra $6 you have to pay to draft now than you did a couple of years ago is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like $30 for one draft is a bit much, and you want to get multiple drafts in to really experience a format. So seeing how that balances out is going to be, I don't know, man. It'll be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can play enough Tempest Remastered to win enough really cool stuff to just be able to afford to buy packs with tickets. But
Like 5 Wastelands should cover.
yeah, that should
the
cover
box,
like a draft. Yeah,
a
so
draft. What's the pre-release draft going to go for? Would it stay at 60?
that's a fantastic question. I really have no idea. It probably will be 60 tickets. Maybe they might do sometimes they do like a special where like if it's that pre-release weekend it'll only be like 50 just because they want to get people playing it because it's a primo format. But I don't know. I have no idea.
Now let's see. The set releases the week prior to GP Vegas. When does it go out on Moto?
It'll
Will it
probably
go
be
out-
another 2 weeks after that. So
That's interesting. They do, since it's not something that's standard or anything, I'm surprised it wouldn't release on the same weekend as paper.
yeah, that you have a really good point, but I don't know, man. Their production schedule for all the stuff they do digitally is always so far behind. That just kind of comes with the territory. But yeah, you make a really good point. But it'll be, I don't know. It'll be tons of fun to draft. We'll have results back from GP Vegas by that point, anyways. So at least if you're going to spend 30 tickets or 60 tickets playing it, you'll know kind of what to do, which is nice. But
I still think it's too early to really, determine whether or not it's worth buying a box of this.
I agree with you. I think there's still plenty of places you can get them for MSRP, and we have some of those in our back pocket. And I just don't know. I just don't know if it's the right buy it, even at $240 for some cardboard.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's right yet. But we'll see. We have this week of full previews before we have to make that decision. So.
Yeah.
One of the other things, that I want to talk about really quick was the fact that someone it was either Reddit or I think it was on MTG Salvation, spoiled what they said was going to be the actual mythic list, or the list of mythics and some rares for Modern Masters 2015. And it was from a person who also had spoiled
The first one.
a lot of the rares and mythics from the first Modern Masters and was correct. Right, so maybe they made a lucky guess that first time. Maybe they actually knew. It's hard to tell. It looks like a lot of people are trusting this person enough to say these are the official spoilers. And if that's the case, then we're looking at other things like the rest of the Eldrazi Titans, All Is Dust as a mass removal spell, Tezzeret as a planeswalker, good old Dark Confidant Bob. Primeval Titan has been confirmed by Star City Games, being in the mythic slot, which is really cool. Some other random stuff like Mirren Crusader. I'm not sure why. Goblin Guide makes sense. That one I could definitely see being in. Elish Norn maybe, perhaps. It's weird for her to be alone and outside of a cycle, but maybe.
Iona.
Yeah, Iona. Same with that. Same with Iona. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's even correct, but
Like between Iona and Limvala, I expected Limvala to be in this cycle, be in here
yeah, me
instead
too.
of Iona.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. But again, we don't even know if this Iona if this is even true or if this is even correct. This is still speculation at this point. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay $10 for a booster pack even and open up an Iona though. I know she's like $25-$30 anyways, but she won't be after this set. So
No.
I don't know. But Cryptic Command makes perfect sense. It's not confirmed yet, but it makes sense. Along with the other commands though, again, I would not be happy paying $10 and opening up like a Primal Command. So. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all rolls. And I think Mox Opal is a given as well as Fulminator Mage. But until they officially say this is how it's going to be, then I don't know.
Are you gonna be getting rid of any of these cards and then rebuying them?
Me? No. I'm happy where I am with the cards that I have. Like, I mean, what am I going to trade into at this point, anyways? I mean, With these packs, I would do exactly what you're saying. If these booster packs were like $5 or $6 a piece, then yes, then I would do that 100% in a heartbeat, right? I will not do that, however, when these booster packs are $10 a piece. right? And you have a chance to pay $10 to open up an Indrik Sar, the Master Breeder, you know? Like, like that doesn't give me enough confidence to say, you know, let me eke out this little bit of value in the next 3 weeks. I mean, I know there are plenty of people who are quick enough and have the tenacity to do that and do it well, and more power to you people, but that's going to take up so much of my brain space and my brain power and kind of my willpower to do that it's just not something I'm interested in doing. Unless I knew this was going to be reprinted to death, then I would for sure. But
See, I got rid of I think I saw the spoiler for Cryptic Command, and I think
Yeah.
within 5 minutes I had it. I didn't buy list it. I got store credit, and I got store credit, and I nearly got the same price than what it was face value. And
that's good.
I just traded in a couple other cards at store credit, and I'm just I'm upgrading it to a textless one, which should stay in price.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So instead of watching that card disintegrate in price, I'll just
Right.
upgrade it. And
Because the full art one might even increase in price, you know, if there's enough of Modern Masters 2015 printed to drive the playability of the format. So as more people enter the format, more people will want Cryptic Commands. Plenty of people will be able to get them the reprinted versions, but a lot of those same people will be like, well, I want a sweet pimp version of this deck. So instead of buying just the Modern Masters 2015 version, they'll look for the full art version, which will put upward pressure on the price. So
yeah,
so it's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm keeping I'm staying very optimistic about this set, and
Me too.
hopefully it has good value on it and it's worth picking up.
Yeah, I mean that's all we can hope. Again, I don't know. I don't know if 240 is right, but we'll see. We have this whole week to figure it out. So.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Before we kind of close up here, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk real quick about what was going down in both GP Toronto and GP Sao Paulo. So there hasn't been a lot of shakeup in the standard metagame, really, like at all, which is not exciting. And I personally don't even care enough about standard for it to be an exciting thing to me, anyways. But one of the decks I like a lot. That actually went all the way in Sao Paulo was Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa from Team Channel Fireball successfully piloted the really nice Esper Dragons build all the way to the finals and to success in that tournament. And I think this deck is sweet, dude. Like it's just the typical take. It's the same thing that was showing up in the top 8 of the Pro Tour. You just hang out with your blue and black control deck until you can resolve like Dragonlord Ojutais and Silumgars and take over the game that way. As you're disrupting their hand with like 3 of Thoughtseize, Crux of Fate. Paulo's deck, interestingly enough, ran 1 Ashiok, which I know is kind of a point of contention. I know some people are just not running any. Some people are running a full suite over Thoughtseize or the board sweepers. It looks like he opted for 1, which is interesting. I'm sure that won him a couple games. And this deck really showcases the power of kind of the dragon-specific hosers, like 4 of Silumgar Scorn, which just becomes straight-up counterspell in this deck, basically, because you have enough card drawing to get to dragons, to where you get to counterspells for free if you reveal a dragon. And then the power of Foul Tongue Invocation to not only have them sacrifice their best creature, which kind of gets around like big beefy Fleecemane Lions. But if you show a dragon, you just gain an extra 4 life, which is kind of really big game against the aggressive decks. Like you gain that 4 life and you've wasted one of their turns basically. And so that's kind of a big deal. But other than that, it's nothing we haven't really seen. But
interesting. Going into GP Toronto, it's the exact opposite. There were no Esper Dragons in the top 8.
yeah.
Abzin in general just dominated the top 8. I think there was 1, 3, 4 out of the 8 were Abzan. 3 of them were Megamorph decks. 1 of them was aggro. You had this really interesting green-white collected company deck that sort of...
Oh, people just want that deck to be so good, but I don't know if it is. Like, I mean, it does some really cool stuff. And Craig Wesco was on that deck, and he's kind of the king of making like little tiny white weenie cards and little green cards actually get there. But I don't know.
I think Megamorph just sort of just dominated this GP in general. I think five of the top 8 were Megamorph decks. Only
Megamorph. That's so weird. I mean,
yeah,
well, you call it a Megamorph deck, but what it really is, it's a Decimus Raptor deck, right?
yeah, Decimus Raptor and I think Den Protector.
So what? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're unmorphing Decimus Raptors and Den Protectors to recur your spells over and over and over again with Den Protector, and then to recur, infinite 3/3 Decimus Raptors with Death Touch, as you're flipping other cards up, face up, which you also get to do because you run 2 Mastery of the Unseens, so you're just putting more creatures that aren't supposed to be face down, and then you flip them up, and then you get more Decimus Raptors, etc., etc. I mean, the deck's relatively self-explanatory, but it's cool. Like, I think it's a cool deck, but
Yeah, there's big differences in the Bant Megamorph versus Abzan Megamorph, but
yeah.
all of them have the consistent for each of the Raptor and Den Protector combo.
I think I like the Abzan one a little bit better. I think the version that plays blue is just a little more reliant on variance to be able to A, hit the mana base, and B, have your blue spells come in, kind of come in handy in the time that they're supposed to. Whereas like the Abzan deck, you just like thought seize them to disrupt them long enough so you can start getting your Den Protector Deathmiss Raptor combo going. And then you're also just resolving Courses of Crufix to gain life and fix your mana, Fleece Main Lions to never die, Siege Rhinos to, kill them. And then you have decent removal, or you have great removal in Hero's Downfall, decent removal in Abzan Charm and Bile and I don't know. I think it's a lot cleaner. I think deck's just way cleaner. And this one I'm looking at right now resolves like 2 Elspeths, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, if your combo's not working, you just stick this Planeswalker that wins games,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I think just on a side note, with all these Megamorphs, Stratus Dancer just sort of becomes super cool, super good.
Yeah.
You just are like, you just want to downfall, assuming it's like a Den Protector or a Raptor, and you're just like, counter.
I'm not even seeing... I'm with you yet, 100%. I think that card is so bonkers. I'm only seeing it in sideboards, though, but, but to do exactly what you're saying, and for 2 mana just countering a spell for free, and getting a 3/2 flyer that you get to attack with on your turn, that seems really good.
Yeah. It's I would have never expected Megamorph to become, such a tier 1 standard deck.
Well, I don't even think the Megamorph is the good part of it. Like, the good part of it is the fact that Deathmiss Raptor recurs as a beefy Death Toucher, and the Den Protector only costs 2 mana to Megamorph up, right? Like, think about it. If Den Protector costs, like, 4 mana to Megamorph up, this deck wouldn't exist, But I don't know. I think it's super good. I think Mastery of the Unseen is kind of the backbone of these decks, too, but I don't know. Like, more power to these guys. The games look to be very interesting, and to play out in really cool ways, and that's what Magic's all about. So, more power to them. All right, buddy. So I think we've rocked through kind of all this stuff we want to talk about as far as standard goes. Modern Masters is something we're really looking forward to. So keep your eyes out the next couple of weeks for those cards to be spoiled and for that format to come out at your local game store. If you haven't yet, ask when they're going to get product. If they don't know about it, tell them how to get product. Tell them to call Wizard of the Coast or your local games distributor and try to get boxes and booster packs, because they won't know. Some of these places won't even know that they need it unless you tell them. But if you're willing to buy it, they will order it for you. And Modern Masters is going to be something you want to get your hands on, so make sure you do that. If you play Magic the Gathering online, save up those tickets for Tempest Remastered, and it's just going to be bonkers, like a ton of fun, a lot of value. Make sure you're prepared for that. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up here, bud?
What is your current financial picks right now? What's ended on a real thinker?
Finance picks? Oh, yeah. No. Anything in Innistrad. Anything in Innistrad that's worth money, I say pick up right now. I think Snapcaster Mage is probably out of contention now that it's, like...
I was gonna say, do you think Snapcaster is gonna just
double in price or something.
I mean, it already has. It's already spiked up
Yeah.
to like 55, 60. So don't touch those. Get your Geists probably while you can. I know I'm pretty darn sure Avison's going to be reprinted in the Angels thing, so don't touch that. But what are other good Cavernous Souls? Those are just going to keep going up. Anything from that block, because they're not being reprinted and they're going to be a little bit out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, because they're not being reprinted in Modern Masters 2015. That's where you want to be right now, no question. So that's where I'm going to put my money.
Interesting.
What about you?
I'm actually going to be thinking more along the lines of speculation cards for battles for Zendikar.
Oh, really?
I'm looking. I am starting to look and see what could possibly be reprinted or what could possibly do well with Battle of Zendikar. So like anything from cons that sort of just got left in the dust. You know, everyone liked cons, and then now you have the newest set, and everyone just forgets about cons.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a bunch of really cheap cards that are going on. Like Siege Rhino is probably like $4 or $5 right now.
It's probably not a bad pickup. Yeah.
I mean, if you really were just like, you didn't really care, you can just throw like $20 down and get like 4 or 5 play sets of what's the Temur Savage Knuckleblade.
So you bring up a really good point. So the thing to think about is that Zendikar is a plane that is all about land. Okay, so like the blocks and the sets, like they care about land. They care about being able to fix your mana base probably in such a way to play any color deck you want, right? So I mean, 5-color decks are a thing that probably are going to be viable when Battle of Zendikar comes out because there are going to be so many efficient ways to fix your lands. And it'll be the last time that a 3-set block is playable in standard with another any other set, right? This will be the last time because you'll have these 3 and then Origins and Battle for Zendikar, which will only be 2 sets, right? That'll be the beginning of the 2 set paradigm. So this is the last time you're going to have all of these cards available to you, and with the cons block being kind of dedicated to this kind of 3-color madness and the efficiency of lands. And then Battle for Zendikar is just going to back it up, right? So I think you're right. I think all of these 3-color cards that are kind of wishy-washy right now are going to go back to being super duper playable because the mana is going to be so efficient. So things like Siege Rhino, things like Savage Knuckleblade, heck, even the 3-color Sarkin maybe. If you can get them cheap in trades, pick it up because who knows if that's going to be so much easier to play than it is right now.
Yeah, like I specifically looked at Savage Knuckleblade in Sarkin, the new Sarkin. They're like the 2 fetch lands that like make that deck are Misty Rainforest and Scalding Time.
Totally, exactly.
Which are possible reprints.
Yep.
So I'm just making the game easier for players to cast their creatures makes more colored decks more plausible and easier to make.
And if we get more bonkers mana fixers like Lotus Cobras, I mean just reprints of things like that, like any deck is going to be viable. It's going to be really, really fun. So no, I think those are super, super good picks. So
and Birds of Paradise coming back.
And Birds of Paradise is probably going to be in Origins. I mean, if it isn't, I think the Magic community would be pretty upset. But yeah, that actually might be a really good pickup. I mean, if you can get them for like $1 or $2 or whatever.
No, they're like $4 still. Like,
oh, really? So that's gone back up again. So
yeah, like I got rid of my last Birds, and I was like, they're like $4. I'm just like, oh my god, why are they so high in price?
If you can trade up into decent versions, though, I mean, do it.
Yeah, I can get the sick Tropical Island one version.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 7th edition was that, right? Yeah. All right, so those are our financial picks. I think we've gone over everything.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. Thanks, Nick, for co-hosting this time. It's always a pleasure. And until next time, don't forget to keep playing better Magic. Thank you.